According to the Women's Legal Defense and Education Fund, 70% of the nation's poor are women and children, and women are still 35% more likely than men to be poor in America, with single mothers facing the highest risk. Today, we'll be discussing poverty among women and children, and how it can be prevented if aid is given in the beginning, during pregnancy. We'll investigate this by first discussing the problem of poverty among women and children. We will then look into possible solutions to this dire issue, and finish by illustrating the advantages to these solutions and the disadvantages of not investing in such solutions. To begin, let's define the problem. What is poverty? According to the Institute for Research on Poverty at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, poverty is measured in the United States by comparing a person's or family's income to a set poverty threshold, or minimum amount of income needed to cover basic needs, and that the people whose income falls under their threshold are considered poor. Simply put, people in poverty are those whose income does not cover their basic needs, such as food, water, shelter, or security. As stated previously, it is unfortunately a fact that women and children make up the majority of the percentage of those in poverty. The best explanation for this reasoning can come from an author of an article in the Herald Standard. The author stated that a portion of the women who are dealing with poverty are single mothers who face high childcare costs and are left with no other option but to stay home because they can't afford to place their children in daycare. In accordance to this, these single mothers are faced with the issue of not wanting to increase their income by an insignificant amount that would not improve their quality of living, only to then therefore no longer be qualified for government-funded aid. Moreover, the biggest reason why there is such a large number of children and women in poverty is that these women are forced into single motherhood and are stuck to deal with these difficult situations alone. Now, a huge question to ask is how these women end up as single mothers. Unfortunately, a huge factor of child poverty is unwanted pregnancy. Furthermore, if abortion is not a choice, morally or otherwise, for a low-income woman, then she is set with the challenge of carrying out a healthy, full-term pregnancy. To make matters worse, these women are usually forced to climb the feat of pregnancy and raising a child alone, and find that it is very difficult to work throughout their entire pregnancy. According to the American College of Obstetricians and Gynecologists, pregnancy discrimination and infidelity occurs more often than it should. Many women are forced to stop working due to health risks while pregnant as well. Therefore, without financial support, it is really difficult to support a healthy pregnancy, which makes the prospects of later raising a child sound disheartening to these women. Moving forward, what are some solutions to this extensive issue? Research done by the Institute for Research on Poverty at the University of Wisconsin-Madison in 2016 displays that some of the best ways to bring women and children out of poverty would be to encourage parenting skills and positive parenting practices for low-income parents, as well as to encourage childbearing that follows education. The main solution that I have come up with would be to found a nonprofit organization that would hope to fight this issue by starting at the very beginning, as I previously stated, which is pregnancy. And the goal would be to help low-income, high-risk women navigate through pregnancy to early motherhood. In order to do this, volunteer nurses could be paired up with these pregnant women and will provide support during this specific time. These women would meet up with their paired nurse, where they would receive resources such as vitamins, medical advice, education, and coaching throughout pregnancy. Emotional support would be provided for these women as well, as it's very important. Other concrete solutions would include donating prenatal materials and baby supplies to women and children's shelters, as well as food banks. Now, there are various advantages to these solutions. One huge advantage would be that these women would be able to carry out a confident pregnancy. By being physically and mentally healthy, these women can feel more secure when their baby enters the world and can feel confident as they begin to raise their child. A study published in the journal BMC, Pregnancy and Childbirth, stated that a confident and mindful pregnancy leads to a huge reduction in symptoms of prenatal and postpartum depression. All in all, with that being said, being aided physically and psychologically during their pregnancies allows these mothers to feel more prepared to begin to cultivate a supportive environment for them and their child. With the worry of bad health for themselves and their child gone, they can focus on starting to better their quality of life. Nonetheless, there would be disadvantages to ignoring this issue. The main reason being that right now, poverty among children is way higher than it should be. Research done by the National Center for Children in Poverty illustrates that children are overrepresented among our nation's poor. They represent 23% of the population, but comprise 32% of the people in poverty. Moreover, if nothing is done to solve this issue, our society's poor will continue to consist of a higher percentage of children, and this is an unacceptable standard for our society to continue to allow to happen. In conclusion, poverty among women and children has been and is currently a huge issue in our society. The idea that these women should be supported at the start of their children's life during pregnancy is so important and can create such an impact. By being informed and supportive, it is hopeful that these women would not only be able to carry out a healthy pregnancy and raise a healthy child, but that they would also eventually be able to pull themselves out of poverty.